And on today, we're going to deal with two different topics. I want to dig a little bit more into the emergency fund as we talked about on last week. If you missed on last week, the video is now on YouTube. It's just been uploaded on YouTube, so you can go back and check out the first session on YouTube. And these sessions will be going up on YouTube for future references. I want to start off with some stats that I talked about on last week, and I always want to start with these stats and the 7 baby steps of financial freedom. And this information that I'm sharing on today, this is not my personal information. This is from Dave Ramsey. And this information has been a blessing to me and my wife, and has been a blessing to several others, and gave a financial class probably, if I want to say maybe 4 years ago. And some of you all that was on in the class, I get great feedback on what it has done for you in your life. So it's one of those things when you get information or you're reading information off the internet. I mean, I live this. I lived in debt, and I also lived being financially free. So I have a great understanding on what it feels like both ways. And I'll tell you this, financial freedom is so much better than being in debt. As of June 2022, 61% of American families live from paycheck to paycheck. That's 6 out of 10 people living from paycheck to paycheck. Now you have 48% of Americans making $100,000. This statistic is anywhere between $250,000 to $100,000. $250,000 to $100,000. 48% of people that's making $250,000 a year is still living from paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, they may have the Beamer, they may have the nice house, but they still living from paycheck to paycheck. And it is what I've learned from a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. He talked about this thing called a rat race. He talked about this hamster wheel. If you all remember that, I had a hamster when I was little, and this hamster get on this wheel, and it helps them burn energy inside the cage. So they're rolling, they're running on this wheel, but they're not moving, they're not going anywhere. And this is typically what happens in our life with our finance. It's like we make more money, we get a raise on the job, and what we do, we get another car. We get a raise on the job, we get another credit card. We get a raise on the job, and so basically you live in a rat race where you no matter how much money you're making, you still living from paycheck to paycheck. So that's why the statistic, someone making $250,000, that's why that individual is still living from paycheck to paycheck. So another statistic is 56% of American families cannot cover $1,000 emergency. $1,000 emergency mean $1,000 or less. For some people, some things that's $300. For some people, things that's $30. Like I mentioned on last week, I remember that was times in our life where we had a flat tire because our finance was so thin and so out of whack. Just a flat tire, $30 flat tire changed our world. We had to adjust, and we had to make adjustments just for a $30 tire. And I want to let you know, you don't have to live life like this. You do not have to live life like this. God has called us to financial freedom. So I want you to understand that you can live financially free. Go back. American families with credit cards have an average of $10,000 in credit card debt. All right, so here's the baby steps to financial freedom. Getting to financial freedom is taking one step at a time. All right, so one step at a time. So the first thing is, and we're going to deal with this, we're going to dig into this on today, is saving $1,000 emergency fund. To remember, you get the $1,000, do the $1,000 first. Do not try to pay off your debt first. Get the $1,000 emergency fund. If we have some people that, like myself, that don't mind admitting that, yeah, I've been in this situation, and I'm going to raise my hand first. And my question is, have you ever tried to get out of debt in the past, and something happened while you were trying to get out of debt? Something happened and you had to use that same credit card that you paid off. You had to use that credit card again to pay for something. This is the reason why saving that $1,000 emergency fund is so important. Do not, please listen to me. I know you're excited about paying off this debt. Please, please. I know you're excited about paying off this debt, but please, please, please do not begin paying off debt until you get this $1,000 emergency fund. You want to save up $1,000 because things will happen. Life happens. That's just the way it is. You can have a flat tire. Anything happen. And if nothing happened during this time of you paying off the debt, God bless you, and use that money and add it to the number 3 baby step, which is saving 3 to 6 months. These are the steps to building wealth. Emergency fund, paying off consumer debt, saving 3 to 6 months of expense, saving about 50% of your income for retirement, saving for children college education, pay off your mortgage early if you have a home. And then the last thing is building wealth and giving to others. This is what financial freedom look like. These are the steps to building wealth. You ever had those moments when you wanted to give to something, but you're like, man, you're already in the financial strain. It's like, I want to support, but I can't. Or I want to do this investment, but I can't. Because there is a saying, I remember hearing this saying years ago. The saying is you have to have money to make money. And in most cases, that has a lot of truth. You have to have money to make money. And most of the time, being in debt, you just don't have money. When opportunity shows its pretty face, you don't have the money to put into the opportunity because you just don't have the money to do it. That's why this is important. On today, what we're going to talk about the emergency fund, and we're also going to talk about creating a monthly budget sheet. Next slide. Creating a monthly budget sheet. Next slide, please. The first thing is get a written plan. Get a written plan. I mean, you have to get that budget going, and we're going to talk more about that. But getting a written plan. And Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain on tablets. Write the vision and make it plain on tablets. Next slide, please. Some people cringe when they hear of getting on a budget. And the reason why, it depends on what type of person you are. There's 2 different types of people. You have the person, and if you're married, I want you to identify this. I want you to identify in your relationship who's the what we consider, we're gonna call them the nerd, the one that's ready to put the things on budget. You have the nerd, and then you have other free spirit. You know, just get it, spend it how it is. We figure it out. We figure it out later. So first thing I want you to do, you must identify who is who. If you have a spouse, you have to identify who is you, because if you don't identify who is who, this can cause problems later on, right? So you want to identify who is who. And here's the thing, Dave Ramsey says, tell your money where to go so you won't wonder where it went. Have you ever been in a situation where you get your paycheck and you're like, man, what in the world, what happened? What happened? You don't even know what happened. You don't know where your money went. The reason why you don't know where your money went, because you do not have a budget. Because if you have a budget, you're telling your money where to go. You're basically lining your money up. Say, okay, this is what's getting spent. This is, you put it in categories, and you say, this is what I'm doing with this, and this is what I'm doing. This is my spending money, this is my expense, and so on and so forth. So you have to budget your money, because when you budget your money, every dollar you have is allocated for something. Think about if you just had, let's say, 4, 5, 6, 10,000, let's think big, $30,000 in the bank. You had $30,000 in the bank. If you had $30,000 in the bank, if that money is not planned for anything, you would spend that $30,000 will get swiped away really quick. Why? Because you did not tell that $30,000 what you want to do with it. You did not position that $30,000 and say this $30,000 is for this. So you want to make sure you tell your money where to go. If you don't tell your money where to go, you're going to wonder where it went. Hebrews 12:11. Listen to this. Because what you have to understand with discipline, when you're talking about budgeting, when you're talking about saving, when you're talking about getting out of debt, it takes discipline. We wander into debt, but we can't wander out of it. You can wander into debt. You can get into debt on accident. You can get into debt accidentally, but you don't get out of debt by accident. You have to be intentional when you get out of that debt. Listen to what Hebrews says. It says no discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful. When you get into the debt, when you're trying to get out of it, when you're trying to discipline yourself, it's painful. It's a painful thing. It's a painful thing, but in due time, later on, it says peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way, meaning you have to discipline yourself. You have to discipline yourself, because if you discipline yourself now, you will get your reward later. If you discipline yourself now, you will get your reward later. I'm going to say that one more time. If you discipline yourself now, you will get your reward later. Listen to me. Here it is. This is another quote from Dave Ramsey. Live like no one else, so one day you can live like no one else. Somebody need to write this down. Today, if you live like no one else, because what you got to understand, if you go to say social media, everybody is balling, shot calling, and doing all these things for likes, because this is one thing you don't see on social media. You don't see people flashing their bank accounts. They're flashing cars, but they're not flashing bank accounts, because most people that got the BMW don't have any money in their bank account. This is real statistics from the Federal Saving Reserve. Most people that you're seeing, that we see, and we're comparing ourselves to struggle. We're comparing ourselves to somebody else's hard time. We're comparing ourselves to somebody else's problem. And we're comparing ourselves to it. That social media, people only post their highlights. But here's the thing. I truly believe most of the posting we see is not even the highlights. We can say it's the highlights. It's the highlights and not highlights. Most people are lying. And as a matter of fact, I don't want to talk about nobody. Don't raise your hand on this, but how many times you lied? I said, don't raise your hand. Stop looking funny. People gonna know I'm talking about you. But how many times you lied on social media? How many times you lied when your last $100 and you went out to eat to a fancy restaurant, took a picture of your steak, but you didn't even have enough money to leave a tip? Or maybe you made an excuse about leaving the tip. You know how we do it. The waitress slow. We got to make ourselves, we got to justify a situation of not giving them a tip, right? All right, so next slide, please. There are 3 reasons why we should save money with this emergency fund. 3 reasons why. The first thing is save up because life happens. Write this down. Save up because life happened. The second thing is save up to pay cash. Save up to pay cash. This is very important, to save up to pay cash, because here it is. What we got to understand about those debit cards, that plastic, when you have that plastic, whether you're spending $10 or whether you're spending $10,000, when you're swiping that credit card, it all feels the same. Oh boy. But when you have cash money, if you're spending $10 and if you spend $100, you have to fan a little bit more money out. So if you have $1,000 cash versus a $10 bill, you may think twice about what you're purchasing, because when you have that cash in your hand, you may say, man, you know what? I really don't need this. Think how many times you had a big $100 bill in your pocket and how long you had that $100 bill. You do not want to spend that $100 bill. You do not want to break that for no 20s. You have $100 bills in your wallet for weeks, but dollars go real quick. Cash is very, very important. All right. The next thing is save up to invest. Save up to invest. I am heavily, my wife tell you, I invest every week. Every week I'm putting new money, investing it in something. I am investing. Why? Because I'm investing because I don't want to work for money. I want my money to work for me. I don't want to work for money. I want my money to work. I want to make money while I'm asleep. Just this past weekend, my wife is my witness, and several others, I showed them on my phone, and they're witness to this. Overnight, in one day, just last weekend, I made, and don't call bar for no money because this money's tied up, but I made nearly $3,000 in less than 24 hours, and $1,500 of it was while I was sleeping. Investing. I was asleep and I was making money. My money was making more money while I was sleeping. So investing is very important. It's very important to invest your money. All right. So Proverbs, next slide. Proverbs 21:20. It says, the wise has wealth and luxury, but a fool spends whatever they get. Listen, my brothers and sisters in Christ, I love you. Pastor would never call you a fool. But Proverbs said, listen, I'm going to read this again. I'm going to read it slowly. The wise has wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Next slide. You can save money if it's priority. If you make money a priority, you can save money. Saving money, getting out of debt, getting on a budget has to be a priority in your life. It has to be your number one priority. 20% of getting out of debt is knowledge. 80% of getting out of debt is behavior. 80%. 80% is behavior. Only 20% is knowledge. So listen to me. This knowledge that I'm sharing with you on today, these biblical scriptures, what Proverbs is saying, what scripture is saying, this is only 20% of the work. The rest of the work is behavior. Mean this 20% that I'm giving you, this is only 20% of the work. The other 80% of the work is you. I mean, I got it from this day forward. I got to put in 80%. I got to put in 80% to make a difference in my life. Knowledge without application is absolutely meaningless. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but it's meaningless if you don't use it. There's a lot of people that talk real good. I see a lot of great posting, a lot of great quotes on social media, and people are not doing as well as they talking. We talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk. 80%, the behavior on here tonight. I believe, I pleaded, I speaking into your life tonight that 80% is going to get out of debt based on your behavior, that you are not going to allow your past behavior. You're not going to allow generational cycles. You're not going to allow anything, any excuses. You're not going to allow anything that keep you enslaved and keep you in debt. I decree that over your life right now. The emergency fund get you cash to cover emergencies so you stay out of debt. Storms will come. Storms will come. There's nothing we can do about it. Next slide. An emergency fund turns a crisis into an inconvenience. I have a thought that I want us to ponder. Having an emergency fund is like a breath of fresh air. I want to do this. I want to, for the remaining of the time, I want to talk about budgeting. I want to talk about budgeting. If you're on your computer, not on your cell phone, if you're on your cell phone, you have to do it a different way. But if you're on your computer, there is a scan code, whatever you call it, scan code. You can scan this. This is a great app for budgeting. It's called Every Dollar. And I want you to write this down if you're driving, if you're mobilizing, if you're moving around, if you're on your cell phone, just remember Every Dollar. Every Dollar. Every Dollar. Go on the internet, type in Every Dollar. This is a program that Dave Ramsey and his team has come up with to help you budget. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's amazing. It has all the things, all the tools, all the things that you actually need to help you budget. I want you to go to Every Dollar and learn more information about this, right? It also have little trainings and different things that you can take as far as to help you with budget. But I just want to give you a quick starting guide to budgeting. Okay, these don't have slides, so you got to write this down. First thing is start with your income. Start with your income is number one. I said in the sermon about a month ago, you have to act your wage, right? Act your wage. Act your wage. You have to start with your income. Then once you start with your income, then number two is list all your expenses. Number three, you want to subtract your expenses from your income. Number four is track your expenses. And number five, be flexible. Be flexible. Don't beat yourself up. Don't make it so difficult where you get upset with yourself and upset because of what's going on. I want you to be flexible because things change. You know, something may go up, expense may go up or whatever. So be very flexible and be okay with being flexible.